Hey guys, welcome to the Get the Phone Ringing show, where small businesses come to copy success in 45 plus categories weekly. I'm your host, Jeff Wilson. Nice to meet you. And today's show is about getting a grip on your business. Meaning there's 5 frustrations that every business owner has. I'm guessing you have all 5. I know I do. And there's 6 things that the most successful businesses do. Yes, there's only 6, and I'm also guessing you don't do all 6. So if that's of interest to you, watch the show. If you've totally dominated all 6 of these categories, you probably don't need to watch. I'm guessing more of you need to watch than don't. And our trainer today is Jim Coyle. In his illustrious career, he has owned several successful businesses. He has trained and consulted for Fortune 500 clients. And in the last 8 years, he's owned a business advisory firm. I say has owned as if past tense, but actually he still owns a business advisory firm. The training he's going to do today is originally a 90-minute training. He's actually breaking this up into 6 training segments for us. So this will be the first training segment in that. So that's pretty cool. He's never done that before, and he's never done it on a internet show. So that's pretty exciting too. So guys, let's get to it. I hope you will stay tuned and watch this show and get a grip on your business. All right, guys, here's Jim Coyle. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, welcome to the show. I've got a business advisor guru, Jim Coyle, with us today. Hey Jim, welcome from Kalamazoo, I think.
Yep, thanks. Good to see you, Jeff.
Yeah, good to see you too, man. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to drop some knowledge on us today with?
Yeah, overall, Jeff, we're going to get into just how to get a grip on your business. But actually, before I dive into that, just a couple things. I usually do this in 90 minutes, and I actually normally do this in front of a live audience. So I can be excitable, so I'm going to have a lot of hand gestures, so try not to let that kind of have you lose focus on what we're talking about, because we're going to talk about some really good stuff today.
Well, we've got you confined in a little tiny box there, so that helps.
Oh, okay, yeah, good. I didn't know if you got to cage me.
That's right.
So what we're going to dive into today is these things. And first, we're going to really get into the background of the Entrepreneur Operating System, which is EOS, and give you a little bit of feedback on that. Then we're going to get into the 5 frustrations of all small business owners, or most small business owners. And then really get to the fun stuff is then the 6 things that the successful companies focus on. The ones these companies actually don't have these frustrations, and why don't they? Through my journey, and actually through other people that we'll dive into here in a second, we both found that really, or we all found actually, that these 6 key things were really what set the companies apart.
Yeah, cool, man. Looking forward to hearing about that.
Yeah. Well, good. Let's jump into it. Actually, before I do, at the end, I've got a really cool tool that I think is going to make a lot of sense after we go through the presentation, but I just want to tell everybody that little free tool at the end we'll give you, everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Stick around, everybody, because this is actually going to be a pretty cool thing that the Jim's going to include for you.
So let's jump into it. So first, the overview on the EOS, or the Entrepreneur Operating System. It was created by Gino Wickman. He's out of Detroit, Michigan. I always kid around and say they were having problems making cars for a while, so it became a hotbed for business authors.
A lot of free time.
What's that?
There was a lot of free time in Detroit.
A lot of free time all of a sudden, yeah. You know, some people kind of, out of work. So, but Gino's a great guy. Created this awesome system, he's been doing it for about 12 years, and there's 38 implementers across the country now that are doing this.
Okay.
There's been 2,500 full-day business sessions actually done on it. So this is not a new thing or a new concept.
So literally,
thing I think,
literally tens of thousands of businesses have been exposed to this then in these sessions.
Yes.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, and one of the big reasons is that the biggest reason that many companies have actually been exposed to it is because mostly of the book, to be honest.
Okay.
The book was just published, and I think there's like 10,000, 15,000 books that have actually been published on it. But there's hundreds of companies actually that have gone through all of these sessions.
Okay.
Now, on average, the companies that have implemented this process, and this is an on average, not our high, they've grown 18% per year, which is actually pretty amazing.
Wow.
Now, it's much harder to track is what they're doing on their bottom line. But from everything we've seen, it actually looks like that percentage is actually higher on the bottom line.
Hey, Jim, what do you mean by bottom line?
Okay, yeah, just the profitability of the company. So ultimately, what's falling to the bottom and what can be put in the pocket of the entrepreneurs.
Okay, 18%.
Now, 18% is the top line.
Okay.
We actually think the bottom line is actually higher. So 18%
Oh, wow.
at the top line revenue level. That's just easier to track. Small businesses, where entrepreneurs use their money sometimes for their business, that's a little harder to track.
Okay.
So what I want to do, and actually before I get to this, what I want to do is actually, the goal here is to just help you look at your company in a whole new light.
Okay.
Really look at it in a different way. And to do that, I'm going to ask a little bit of favor, and it's going to make you feel a little bit silly. What I want you to do is to close your eyes, and I want you ultimately to float above your company. Really get above your company and look at what the company looks like. Now, the reason I ask you to do this is because Albert Einstein, pretty smart guy, determined that you cannot fix a problem within the framework which the problem was created. Now, I probably screwed that up because my eyes were closed. But I was pretty close. Problems cannot be solved by thinking within the framework in which they were created. Now, Einstein said that, and not only did he say that, he proved it. Okay, wake up there, B.
Oh.
Yeah, did I get you?
Yeah, I was just floating over my business.
Right.
My business is so big, there's a lot to float over, so I was still floating.
Yeah, right. The empire, really.
Yeah.
So now, hopefully we got, I know we got Jeff floating over it now. Hopefully we got all of you floating over your business, seeing all the moving parts. Now, assuming that's the case, let's dive into this a little bit more.
And
now,
so the idea of that, in essence, is basically to get you in a paradigm shift where you're thinking outside of your business, right? You're imagining, hey, I'm a third party looking at my business to see what I'm doing well, where I have problems, so you can kind of almost give yourself permission to step outside for a bit.
Yeah, and what's awesome is that, so many people have written about this. People just have never seen it, connected it as much to Albert Einstein, and there's a bunch of other scientists that actually have proved this to be the case. But in Michael Gerber's book, The EMyth, he talks about the idea you got to work on your company, and in many regards, that's what he's talking about. You got to get outside of it actually to be able to see it. So, so today I ask you to do that because that's going to be really helpful for the stuff we're going to go through.
Okay.
So another thing, I'm used to actually doing this in front of live presentations, and at this point, what I would do is I'd actually find out about everybody in the audience, a little bit harder on a webcam to find out exactly who's listening. So, but do understand every presentation, and not every presenter actually comes off this way, but every presentation is actually about you. So if there's questions or concerns or things that you want to find out more about with this presentation, please get in contact with Jeff or I in regards to that. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end.
Okay.
Well, let's jump into the 5 frustrations then. Now, all business owners, or most business owners, actually have a number of frustrations. And we've really boiled them down to there being really 5 main ones. Now, the first one is a lack of control. They just don't feel control over their business. Ultimately, the business is controlling them. They're not controlling the business. This is ultimately just a difficult place to be. Very frustrating. The next one is profits, and if we lost you along the way here, I actually mean a lack of profits, not actually having enough profits. And really the point is that not getting the profitability you deserve and not getting the profitability your company can actually achieve. There's been a lot of research done on this, and Nexus has done some of this research as of recently that we found that most companies aren't achieving actually the level of profitability that they actually have the ability to achieve.
Okay.
So
that's the president on line 1, Jim.
Right, I got people calling in.
So, not right now, Obama. Not right now.
This is great. Sorry about that. The next thing is people, their employees, their vendors. Unfortunately, sometimes their family. They just have frustrations over people. I always say if there's money in the business, your number one frustration is going to be people. If you don't have money, then ultimately that's one of your number one concerns. The next one is hitting the ceiling. Now, this is a phenomenon that's been proven by a guy named Professor Larry Greiner, that this happens for every company. It's not an if, it's a when. Okay. Either you go out of business or you end up hitting a ceiling. And so there's really ways to push through that. And if you hit a ceiling, you're at a point where you just feel stuck. You don't feel like you can actually get through things. You just feel like ultimately you're not making it. And the way that shows up on your sales is that ultimately you're probably stuck between a certain framework. We've done a little bit of research, and actually even Sir Richard Branson's done some research on that, exactly where that is. So that's another one of the big frustrations. And the last one is trying a lot of stuff. We call these the flavor of the month companies. You know, the owner is bringing in a new idea, and in some regards, their employees are just as frustrated with them because they bring in these new ideas, and entrepreneurs aren't built ultimately to deal with the details and for follow-up, and unfortunately, these things just get dropped.
Okay.
So those are the five main things.
I haven't experienced any of these frustrations, but I'm sure other people do.
Right. Well, I'm about to show everybody why you haven't actually
nice.
found frustrations.
A Jeff Wilson case study.
Right. We just studied actually Jeff. I hope that's a bigger sample size, big enough sample size. Now, as I mentioned, there's two discoveries. Now, in the second discovery is where there's hope, because what we found is that there was people that did have these frustrations, but there was a select few that didn't, like Jeff, and get the phone.
Sorry, everyone. I dominate.
Well, right. But so there is hope, and what we found is that there was a common thread for all of these businesses. Gino found this. Actually, we found this independently. Some other people have found this. And what we found is that these entrepreneurs weren't frustrated. They were, in fact, happy. They really actually had control over their business. They were working with people that they really liked, and things were working, and they were making the money that they deserved. So that's actually where I'd like to spend, a lot of the rest of our time is actually talking about them. That's the more fun stuff.
Okay.
So at this point, I've actually been talking about them and them and them, and what I want to start to talk about is you. The person that right now is watching this presentation, because really let's focus on what you can do to make changes so you don't have any of those 5 frustrations. And what we want to do is actually talk about what it was that these successful companies did. And what they did was that they focused on 6 main things. And when they focused to the degree that they're able to focus on those 6 key things, they were actually really got to the root of all of their issues. And they were able to solve their problems for good. The problems didn't just keep coming back around. To the degree they could get strong in those 6 key components, all the pieces fell into place. The discovery was this. All businesses have 6 key components. You got 1 million employees, you got 1 employee. They have 6 things that they have to focus on. And to the degree you can strengthen those, all those frustrations are greatly diminished.
And these are the principles, Jim, by which that 18% growth that you mentioned year over year.
Correct.
That clients that follow this system, these are the principles that they start to adopt, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And beyond this, this has been, this research has gone into other very large companies who haven't used this, but we found that this is ultimately what made them successful.
Okay.
So we'll dive into it. So like I said, we're going to start talking about you. So you're at the center of this model. Your business is at the center of this model. And for today's presentation, I'm going to go into just kind of a high level of these 6 components. And in subsequent presentations, I'd really like to get into deep dive into each one of these and understand the tools that these companies that have grown on that 18%, to answer your question a little fuller there, Jeff, is that the tools that they all use as a part of the entrepreneur operating system.
Okay.
So let's jump into the components. Like I said, I'm going to kind of start at the end of the journey. This is where all of our clients get once they've actually implemented these tools or in these components. So at the center of it is your business. And the first one, and actually before I get to that, one thing that we've also realized is that all companies, and this is every company, deals with 143 things simultaneously. If you can get control of these 6 key things, what happens is those things just fall into place. It's awesome, actually. I've had entrepreneurs tell me that they've been able to take vacations and actually be able to unplug from their business because of actually doing this. So to the degree that you can get good at these 6 key things, all of those 143 things, which are just symptoms, ultimately go away and they fall into place. So now, assuming you're still floating above your business,
yeah,
let's get into the first one.
I never came down.
Yeah, you live there.
Yeah.
So we're still floating above their business. What this is going to give you is a new lens in which to look at it. So the first one is vision. What I mean by vision is getting all of your people 100% crystal clear on where the company's going and how it's going to get there. Now, some companies have, the idea this is where we're going, but very few have it clear for all their people, the plan on how it's going to get, on how they're ultimately going to achieve that. The next one is people. People, without great people, you can't achieve the vision. It's just a truth in business. You got to have the right people. But what's very frustrating is you hear this top quartile and the platinum group and your high flyers, all these silly terms. But what does it mean to be a great person in your company? And that's what you have to figure out. We'll dive into some of the tools, like I said in other presentations, that gets into what it means to have great people in your organization. Because what is a great person in your organization wouldn't be a great person in my organization or Jeff's organization. So the next one then is data. Now, we're making decisions on a daily basis. A truth in life is the more data you have, the better decisions you make. So the more information you have, the better decisions you're going to make. And most entrepreneurs actually don't have the right data. They have the profit and loss. They have the balance sheet. But what that tells you is where have you been. We need to have activity-based numbers that show you where you're going. Be more proactive than reactive.
Okay.
Now, organizations that have really good data, they have the data that they need, their vision is crystal clear for all their people, they have all the right people, what ends up happening is it actually creates a very open, honest, transparent organization. All the problems, the obstacles ultimately end up getting smoked out. And so you have to then have the ability then to focus on your issues. Now, what's been proven, and there's been some good research on this as of late even, that shows that companies that are successful, the ones that are successful from the ones that aren't, are just very good at identifying their problem and then solving it. The next one then is process. Now, companies that are good at process become more consistent, and consistency is very important in every type of company. And what you do is you systemize your organization so you can become more consistent, more reliable, more efficient, more effective, more fun, and really more profitable because of it. And what we've found is that companies that really want to grow or scale, the new term now, if they don't get a grip on their process, it just won't happen.
And the training that you give that will go beyond this training today dives into each one of these sections and really breaks down how a company can actually apply this to in their favor, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And
that's cool.
I'm really going to give away the tools. I'm the kind of person who gives, and hopefully that people see the value in that, of course. But the tools we'll dive into and all of that kind of stuff, that the specific way that companies actually do this.
Because I think as businesses watch this, this sometimes might feel, because this is laying the foundation, right, for what you're now going to dive into in subsequent trainings. And I think as businesses see this, don't just dismiss this as, oh, this is just, a very high level management talk. This is just basically letting you know what's coming and how these all tie together, so that when you dive in and do a deeper training on vision, people, data, issues, process, and this mystery last one, when you do that it will actually make sense. It will fit in the big picture. So I wanted to kind of point that out so that people understand, like, this actually goes much deeper, and you're going to take them deeper on it. We just couldn't do it all in one section.
Right. And it's actually good to understand this first anyways, and it lays the foundation. And at the end, the tool I'm going to give you will be great for you, helping to understand which areas you need to focus on. So
yeah, cool.
It's designed in that way. So the next one actually is traction. So traction was the mystery one you talked about. This is so very key. This is where you become much more disciplined and accountable in your organization. You really get your people executing on your vision. As I've heard Gino say before, he says vision without traction is a hallucination. It's just a dream or a wish. Yep. What we're prone to say is the right answer is not the solution. The solution is the right answer correctly implemented. So it's all about execution. A good idea is only that if you don't execute on it. It's just an idea. So really what we do here is really get it down so that people are really starting to execute.
Okay, so traction in essence in this example is in essence executing as you've gathered all the information and put systems in place. It's actually making all of this work. Is that the idea?
Right.
Yep. Okay.
In many regards. And then there's specific tools that we use to actually make sure that that's happening.
Okay.
So these are the 6 components, and to the degree that you can strengthen these, what we realized is that if leaders and managers and entrepreneurs can all strengthen these, that 143 things just falls away. It's actually amazing, and it's very cathartic. Actually, I've had a lot of my entrepreneurs just say, "Wow, this is great. It's easier."
I'm sure. Yeah.
The idea of making their lives easier is great. So that's the training. Now, next time, I think, yeah, good. So I did put a slide in. So next time we're going to dig into vision, and that is going to be our main focus for next time. Really digging in on vision, making sure that you understand how to get your vision crystal clear, what it means to have a vision. The training is going to help you ultimately build a strong culture, what it takes to make a great filtering and guiding mechanism, figure out the things that are needed ultimately to sell more business, and to find out what companies who endure for decades do differently. We're going to do that. We're going to dive into that stuff and some other stuff. We'll have some more tools that will also connect to that as we go. And so that's the training.
Yeah, and then the free tool that you were going to provide, that we'll provide in the show notes, the resource section below this video today.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that does?
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thanks. I completely forgot. I made a promise up front, and I almost reneged on it.
You were hoping I'd totally forget about it, but I didn't forget.
Yeah. No. It's great. I love handing this thing out. The organizational checkup is this. It actually will help you to see in this 6 areas that you're weak in. And so it asks the right questions. You'll be able to, do a 1 to 5 kind of thing and figure out where your company stands. And so it's great. It's actually just a really good health checkup on a company. We're supposed to, as guys, we're never good at this, but you're supposed to go in and get a physical. It's kind of like the physical for your company.
Okay. That's awesome. And for folks that right now are like, hey, I don't really want to wait for the rest of the training, I'd like to talk to you because I kind of feel like this is resonating with me. This is hitting me at the right time. How should people follow up with you? We'll obviously include contact information and things like that, again, like I said, below this video. But, how would people work with you next if they wanted to?
Yeah, well, like you said, just contact me. And in these presentations, I have, so I have a slide here. So just contact me. So that's my office line. That's my direct email. I just tell people to give me a call or send me an email, and I can get back to them and if they've got questions about any of this. So that would be the best way. Go out to our website. We got a little information in the services and solutions section. So that would be probably the best way.
Hey, man, I appreciate you taking a 90-minute presentation and breaking it up. And so, 1, you've never broken it up before. 2, you've never given it over a webcam interview before. So you've nailed both of those. So thanks for doing that. And for everyone that's seen this so far, go check out the free tool. We'll have it below. And then we will let you know. Actually, you can sign up for email updates below as well. And then we'll let you know when Jim releases new trainings. We'll probably sprinkle those through the next few weeks. And then you can kind of keep taking them off bite size after bite size. And don't be greedy. If you found this information useful, please share with a couple other business owners. We'd love to spread the word and get Jim's message out there as far as we can, and all of our trainers, because they do take time out of their day to train you. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching this show. We'll see you on the next one. Jim, thanks for slicing and dicing it up for us. We appreciate it.
This is great. Thanks, Jeff. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, bud. Bye.